All right. So this is the old packing house here?
Yeah, this is the old packing house. They would pack tomatoes, cucumbers, whatever's in season. So the plan is to rebuild this, to make this into a event space.
Okay. Oh, wow.
And this house is called the Indigo House.
Indigo House?
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Indigo is very important to our culture too. I mean, that's what blue jeans, indigo.
Right.
And people don't think of indigo as part of those, I say big two cotton and rice plantations. But indigo was at one point top 3 moneymaker as far as crops in this region. On people call it plantations. I like to call them Holocaust sites.
I like that, man.
That's what it was too.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? So that's what it was too. So yeah. But this is an old packing house. We on St. Helena Island, South Carolina. You know, I'm from Charleston, but I moved up this region. This is one of the many coastal islands that we have from here through Georgia, even parts of North Carolina, but mainly South Carolina, Georgia, and northern Florida. So
down to Jackson.
Down to Jacksonville. Even though I've heard some South Florida guys thought they Geechee too. But, me and down to Jacksonville.
So did this have walls, or was this all opened up?
All open. I'm not quite sure, but I'm sure the trucks were probably back in here. You know, off the road somewhere, somehow. I would think.
How old would you say this building is? It looks pretty old.
I knew at least 100. That's right.
History in this building.
Yeah, there's a lot of history. I mean, this whole region is historical.
Yeah. I like this. Cool. Yeah, I saw you with my cousin, Michael W. Twitty.
Oh yeah. I was just on the phone with Twitty yesterday.
Okay.
I hadn't talked to him in a couple months.
Okay.
Yeah, he coming from Charleston at some point.
Okay. Yeah. I had a chance to interview him when I was with Ancestry.com. At the time, I didn't know he was my cousin, but him and I, we just connected, man. And he has good conversation, and just, you know, he's teaching me so much and helping me to understand the foodways of, the African foodways, how they made it over here to America, and, he just put a lot of things into perspective for me. So I definitely, appreciate him for that.
So he got some knowledge.
Yeah.
He definitely got some knowledge.
Sure.
So, go ahead.
How long have you been a historian, man? Like a food historian?
That was never the plan.
Okay.
But when you cooking this, these foodways, it kind of just goes hand in hand. So I always loved history. That's, I guess, so that's how that worked. Okay. I always loved history, but I never thought about just going into history. I just love looking up our history, our culture, our roots. Just us as the people. So, when I started, focusing mainly on my culture's cuisine, you got it. The history is there, so you can't run from it. You can't hide from it. So it just kind of worked hand in hand like that. So it just kind of coincided with each other, and that was it. So I call it culture through food.
I like that.
You can't. It's obvious. So me studying these foodways takes you down a rabbit hole of just the history. I hit the hashtag open soup. And I hit that hashtag, and I'm all the way in Nigeria, different parts of West Africa. So, but that's one of our dishes that we love here.
Okay.
But that's that story of the diaspora, the lineage. So,
you're not just a historian; you're also a classically trained chef.
I am.
Nice.
You start off like that. I mean, I started off working in some of the quote unquote best low country kitchens.
Okay.
But low country food. Low country food is a mix of African Gullah influence West Indian, French, indigenous French, English, and Spanish.
Okay.
With the African, and I won't say that African influence is the most important influence of Low Country food. But there is a difference between Gullah and Low Country.
Okay.
Gullah is, I would call it the queen mother of Low Country food. It's part of the Low Country tier, you know, when it talks Foodways, the African Gullah influence, West Indian influence. Because West Indies is an influence of this area.
Okay.
I think some of the first quote unquote planters, the enslavers, were coming from West Indian islands, Caribbean islands.
Right.
Barbados, Antigua, Anguilla, Jamaica. So that was an extension. So you see that in some of the foodways. Curry dishes and a couple other techniques. There's old recipes in the Low Country of like doing a stewed chicken with burnt sugar as a base. Okay. You see that in a lot of the browning seasonings you see in West Indies.
Exactly.
You know, but you see some old recipes here that call for that same technique.
So that's what browning is. My wife is Jamaican. And her father's side is Jamaican, her mother's side is Gullah Geechee. And they always have like the browning sauce. And I never knew what it was. I just knew it turned stuff brown. But I knew it has a sweetness to it.
Right.
So okay.
Right. So yeah, man. So you know those linkages make up what I like to say Low Country. And then Gullah in its purest form is strictly from the land, from the sea. A lot more seafood heavy, I think, Gullah food than you see in a lot of Low Country cuisine, and a lot less dairy, a lot less cream base.
Is that because of what the islands had access to?
Yeah, and you know you wouldn't use cream per se in a dish. You back then you were using raw milk. You skim the cream off, you turn that into butter. You wouldn't see buttermilk per se. It was costly, unless you were processing it.
Right.
You wouldn't see buttermilk brine or buttermilk fried chicken. That buttermilk would have been made would have been kept for some type of bread.
Gotcha.
So that's why you don't see, these a lot of milk-based sauces. There are a few recipes that call for milk-based stews, like mugs.
Right.
But that's the differences.
Okay. So it seems like a lot of the recipes came out of the utility of the ingredients that's utilized.
Basically, what was around you. I mean, like what we eat today, you don't. Part of it comes from back then, but there's a lot of recipes from way back that we don't see no more.
Okay.
If somebody send me history stuff, like old newspaper articles, there's one in particular that talks about old Gullah family on Seaside back in Edison Island. This is probably like 1920.
Okay.
And they were eating, stewing things down like soft shell crabs, periwinkles, conch, whelks. So it's all this different things like periwinkles. Nobody thinks of periwinkles these days.
Yeah, exactly.
But but it makes you realize, okay, what kind of dish were they doing?
Yeah.
How were they doing it? I mean, well, one dish was pumpkin and something stew, some type of seafood stew.
Okay.
I was like, okay, that's interesting. It was like a winter pumpkin. But when you think of soup jumu from Haiti, it's winter pumpkin.
Okay.
Soup.
Okay.
So
interesting.
So like these things kind of, because you ask somebody around here about using pumpkin, they look at you like what?
Right.
But that was back then.
Yeah.
When number one, they lived more closer to the land. So it wasn't like, oh, this go with that, that go with that. No, what we got, put it in the pot.
Right, exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So that was a difference in the foodways then. So that's why I say I try to look through that lens, and a lot of it is having to study, particularly the dishes of West Africa. The different, the diversity. You don't realize there's more ethnic diversity in the African continent than anywhere else in the world. Maybe next to that, maybe China might be next.
Yes.
In India, maybe you know what I'm saying. But I know that in Africa,
Yeah.
in West Africa in general, what makes the food so special there is that it's still the food of West Africa.
Right.
Not like other parts of Africa where it's like, that's English.
Right.
Full English breakfast y'all talking about already. You know, they still hold on to the traditions. And those traditions were brought here at some point, right? Until the assimilation really started happening, you didn't have access or weren't growing certain things no more. Like the Benesi, the local rice, and just the techniques that might have been there because you had time to process things, drying things, shrimp, smoking and drying oysters, fish. You go to West Africa, you see things always in the market, and it's a quintessential part of their cuisine. We don't have to worry about that no more because we got stores and refrigeration that came up. I'm not saying that they don't have that over there, but you know, we were in this quote unquote first world, I call first world, but capitalist world, full of money. We have access to refrigeration. Our ancestors didn't. My granddaddy didn't have that access, and that might have been when he became an adult. My daddy didn't came around. They might have had a refrigerator then. So back then, the dishes for him was, like I said, what was smoked and fermented and preserved to go into these pots. You know, and you still see that today in West Africa.
Yes.
So now that's part of the cuisine. No matter how much advancements come, blah blah blah, and how much money starts to be built up in West Africa, because people got refrigerators and stuff now, but no, everybody do. And now that's just a quintessential part of the foodways that will never leave, no matter how much refrigerators come over. But for us, we started to let things go.
Yeah, for sure.
You know, so
when I saw you on High on the Hog, and you were cooking, roasting a pig, and you told Stephen Southbury, he was like, okay, we're going to come back tomorrow morning to check on it. And I was just like, wait, what? You know, but you took your time with it. You dug the pit, you know, did the necessary building the fire and stuff like that. Make sure the meat was cut right, seasoned right, or however you did. You just laid it out there. And every once in a while, you guys throughout the night would go and check on it. Also watch you make a pot of okra soup, if I'm not mistaken, outside on a big open flame. And just the patience and time you took with it, and it just made me think of they weren't pressed against the clock. That was somebody's job to cook, and they took their time with it. They weren't trying to make it for the buck, but they were trying to make it so people could have it, to eat. So I just appreciate that, like the patience that it had, and I'm sure that you know about that it just takes patience, cooking, especially that way.
Oh yeah, particularly our foodways. It's all about one pot cooking, slow cooking.
Yeah, I like that, the one pot cooking.
The vegetables and the proteins. I always say the ancestors cooked certain things for certain reasons. Certain greens, are very hard to digest if they're not cooked out long.
Okay.
But also that's why that pot liquor is important.
Yeah.
That held all of that nutrients in that green that kind of left that greenness in that liquor. That's why a lot of soups and stews is important to the culture. Bone broth. And that was when we lived up there, when we had to, process our own animals.
Right.
And now people who processing your animals are processing them in a way where they're not good for people, because trying to feed the masses. The vegetables are sprayed on and been modified to produce and to be able to be shelf stable, but the nutrients and the nutrient level for the wrong reasons. It's not for our health, for stability, travel.
Right.
So our people lived off the land, even if you were in the city, particularly here, even in New York. You know, they were vegetable men.
Yeah, that's right.
You know, you had these things, right?
Yep.
And you know, now you don't. So it's
my father remembers my father's family is from Alabama, both his maternal side and paternal side, but eventually they migrated up to Baltimore, Maryland. That's where my father was born. He says he remembers there being a vegetable man who would come through in a wagon on a horse in the city of Baltimore,
right,
calling out vegetables, you know. And I hear my wife's her grandfather, her mother's father, in New Brunswick, in New Jersey, there was a vegetable man.
Yep, he had a vegetable truck, and his family is from this area.
Oh, yeah.
You know, he has roots here, so yeah.
So, you know what I mean? And then with those vegetables, like you were saying, like the one pot cooking, I mean, that was a job, somebody tend to that one pot. You know? And be sure it was good. And like I said, that was, you know, you drunk that broth, and ate that protein, that vegetable that was in there. How y'all doing?
Good, how are you?
So,
Good.
yeah. I do want to take y'all to, I guess, you can see one of the old, like a real modern day, what we call homestead. Like,
Okay.
you know what a homestead is? Basically how your ancestors used to live.
Yes, for sure.
You know, on family land. You know, this person may be a little more well off than the cousin over there.
Right.
That's in that trailer.
Right.
But that cousin in the trailer ain't got to worry about a place to live because it's on family land.
Right.
Cousin ain't got to worry about food because so and so will make sure they got a plate.
Right.
That's the circle that we don't have no more. And you still see it out here a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. You see these. You ride around. You see these family lands, homesteads. Families just still there. Because I had a friend back in Charleston tell me, man, I ain't gonna sell this because one day one of my cousins or somebody might get down bad. Instead of them having to find out where to be at in the street, come on, we still got our property. We got a room.
Yeah.
I mean, that's how we should be. Just
Right.
Yeah, y'all
So
don't
true.
follow me.
Okay.
We gonna,
Okay.
we gonna bust a left.